In 900 feet, turn right on High Street. Turn right on High Street. In half a mile, keep left to Craft Street. In 1,000 feet, keep left.
What you are right now is you're at the tip of the spear.
We are previewing where this goes, taken to its logical extent.
Yeah. I mean, and could have been worse. Had you not been contacted by the police, had you been in one of those cars, had you been pulled out, had you been pulled into some sort of a hostage situation where they were trying to tell you, you can't go to the bathroom without us, like they did to the fucking president.
Keep left to Craft Street. In half a mile, turn left on California Street.
Madness. I mean, that's like, people should go to jail for that.
Well, so, okay. Again,
That's kidnapping.
It's kidnapping. I do think that the administration and certain faculty members have a lot of responsibility. So I think in some sense, yes, it's literal kidnapping. The students, however, I believe, have become tools of something that they don't really understand.
Tools of what, though? Of their own making? I mean, is it an ideology outside of the school that they subscribe to, or is it their own? I mean, what is it?
Well, I believe it is a militant belief structure, and I do think, based on what we've seen on our campus, it is emanating from a subset of the black population. Okay, so I'm not saying that this is black people doing this, but I'm saying that the people who are at the forefront of it happen to be in that part of the coalition of people of color.
In 1,000 feet, use the left lane to turn left.
And that they are advancing a set of assumptions and beliefs that they seem to imagine describe some future world that they would like to reach. And it's a future world, I mean, it's preposterous. It will never happen because
What is the future world?
Where the 400 years of oppression of black people in North America results in a reversal of roles, I think. I mean, I can't imagine having that thought and following it through and not realizing that this can't possibly be anything like a way forward. I also
This is something that they've described, this reversal of roles?
Well,
that they would like to come to this conclusion?
So I would imagine that your listeners, having heard me just say what I said, have to be wondering a little bit about me and where my sympathies really lie, but...
Turn left on California Street.
What I've seen, and if you're listening...
In 1.4 miles, turn left on Watertown Street.
Go looking at the videos that came out of Evergreen over the last 10 days, posted by the protesters, I should point out.
Yeah.
Videos that they thought made them look good. They will find many instances in which the official order of things says, well, let's say there's a 4 o'clock meeting on the Tuesday in which I was challenged in the morning. It's a 4 o'clock meeting that became very dangerous. And the meeting began with an announcement that the chairs and the food were for people of color and that white people shouldn't use them. Yes, I know.
The chairs and the food were only for people of color.
Correct.
White people have to be hungry.
Right.
You can't sit down.
Right. And I've also seen, I don't remember where I saw it now. I probably have a screenshot of it, but I saw something where some activists put out a broadcast message that said a person of color needed a power adapter for a computer. Were there any white people who could fetch one or something like that?
Oh, Jesus.
I mean, the thing is, it's preposterous, but it is also putting in danger the actual vision of a world in which race ceases to provide advantage.
Right.
So anyway, it's
Well,
jeopardizing.
the idea that it should be reversed is just so crazy. Like, we should oppress now. Like, no, there should be none.
Right.
We should get past this.
Right. We should be anti-supremacist.
Yes, 100%. This
Yeah.
idea, I mean, do you imagine if there was a college in North America that suggested that white people only should eat and white people only should be able to take the seats? Is that what's going to happen in 300 years? So what if black people oppress for the next 300, then white people come back and say, hey, we're going to have to turn this around again? I mean, isn't the idea that 100 years from now, white people are going to be a minority in America? Because the rates of birth with Latinos and black folks, that there won't be this minority group anymore, that they will be, in fact, a majority.
All I can say is it's so obviously a wrong path, just in terms of it's not an honorable objective.
It's racist.
It's racist. It's absolutely racist.
Yes.
I mean, it's not even difficult to see that. It just simply is racist. But if you say that on my campus at the moment, you're the racist for not understanding why this is logical.
So how do people react when someone says a person of color needs a power adapter? Can a white person go fetch it? Are there these white, air quote, allies that
Exactly.
are running, these beta males, and just running to go grab a white power adapter and give it to this person of color? Is that what's happening?
That's the literal description of it.
Jesus Christ. And then they have to, in a few years, they're going to have to go onto the workforce.
Well, and that's the thing this is a whole other side of the puzzle. What this is really about, and not just at Evergreen, but this movement which has taken over so many campuses and shut down so many people who spoke with positions that were not somehow sanctioned, is really a battle between two incompatible worldviews within the academy. So on the one hand, you have the sciences and all of the things that function on the same assumptions that the sciences do about how you figure out what's true. And then you have these postmodern disciplines, which basically argue that the tools that the sciences claim are about figuring out what's true are actually tools of oppression themselves. And so, another video...
Goddamn rulers.
Ruler, right, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So there's this video in the middle of the first Tuesday of these protests, where the president, barricaded with these protesters, is talking to them, and the protesters actually flat out say, in referring to my email, that I mentioned the word phenotype, and that inherently tells you that I must be a racist to even be thinking about a scientific term in the context of this, which I find horrifying, because these very students stand to gain a tremendous amount. They will be most powerful
In 1,000 feet, turn left.
in pursuing equity, among other things. They will be most powerful in the world if they are armed with a scientific toolkit, with an analytical toolkit that allows them to...
Turn left on Watertown Street.
to be forceful rather than to be preposterous.
What was the context you used the word phenotype again? I forget.
Oh, I said that I would like us, in my challenge to the new day of absence formulation, I said I would like us to put phenotype aside, right? Put phenotype aside, meaning that I did not want us discussing equity as teams, as different teams broken up by skin color. And so the very fact that I said phenotype, and that I suggested that I would be willing to give a lecture to anybody who wanted to come about what I understand to be the evolutionary context of racism. And they did not want the lecture. They assumed that if I said evolution and racism, that I was going to give a eugenics lecture or something like that.
In 400 feet, turn left on Galen Street. Turn left on Galen Street.
And so it's preposterous. The way this works is they shut down the conversation before you can have it, so that they don't actually know what you're going to say, and therefore don't need to address it.
Oh, God.
Yeah, it's quite frightening.
Well, it's bizarre because it's primarily occurring in universities. It's not happening really in high schools very much. It sort of bubbles up in high schools, it appears, by people that I talked to that have been in high school and gone into universities, that you see echoes of it. You see the beginnings. And then when it gets to college, you're away from your parents, you're in some new place, everyone gathers in groups, they dig their heels in the sand, and they go fucking crazy.
Well, I mean, there is something about college,
Yeah.
and we all did
Sure.
them.
In 400 feet, use the right lane to turn right on North Beacon Street. Then keep left. Turn right on North Beacon Street. Then use either lane to keep left to Arsenal Street.
In college, but I also think there's a hidden reason for it being colleges, which is that there is real inequity in civilization that needs to be dealt with. I would say the thing that I find most troubling is the skew in policing and in the courts that results in disproportionate fractions of some populations being incarcerated, which has terrifically destabilizing impact on this community. So I think that is a very real harm that would be hard to overstate, and that absolutely has to be addressed, just to even make any claim on being a fair society. That said, it is very hard to attack the private prison complex, for example. Right? It's a difficult challenge. On the other hand, the universities are a soft target. They can't defend themselves, and they already have sympathies in the direction of a view of a radically different, enhanced world. So, in effect, I think we're being challenged on the basis that the inequities on our campuses are completely intolerable, and that is largely a fiction, and that what really is happening is that this is displaced anger over a system that is fair, that's been pointed at something that can't defend itself.
That's fascinating. So this is a reaction to the actual real inequities of the outside world.
Use either lane to keep left to Arsenal Street.
Racism, places like
You've arrived. Destination is on your left.